It's True Value Hardware, making your life easier.
And joining us this morning on the best little home improvement show in the 4 states is Denny Heydrich from Heydrich's True Value right here at 15th and National in Fort Scott. Denny, good morning.
Good morning, Larry.
What an exciting day today is. You got
Yes.
the garden party going on.
Right,
and,
yeah. It's going to be
we're
a
gonna
busy day.
Yeah. So as soon as this program is over, I'm going to be heading right out to Heydrich's. I'll be broadcasting live from 9 to 11 this morning out at Heydrich's, and it's just going to be an awesome, awesome day. And boy, you've got, I know you've got big plans for a lot of stuff out on the lot, but what do you have out there this morning?
Okay, we're going to have this will be the largest that our outdoor garden center
It's
is.
a world's record today.
It'll be huge.
Yeah.
It'll be huge on that. Then later on, starting at 10 o'clock, we'll have 2 girls in a zoo is going to be there with their exotic animals. So bring the grandkids, the kids, and have a good old time. And then afterwards, and you'll be signing off just at the right time, just when the hot dogs and pops start going for 25 cents each.
Yeah, so all right. So I've got the broadcast and a lunch going on today.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's,
So
that's the exciting thing. So
on that. And I'll buy your lunch.
hey, that is a that's a great offer right there. So and that's probably more than what I'm actually worth right there. So hey, Denny, I'm going to take a look at all these things that you're going to have out there, and just busting at the seams. And this is my problem. I'm not able to look at something and say, you know what, this is going to look really good right here. I have a hard time going from point A to point B. And boy, there are some people that really, really do a good job with that. They know exactly what they want. So today might be a good day to talk about landscaping and what we're going to do with those plants and all those things that we're going to see on your lot here in just a little bit. So
because it starts with a plan, Larry.
Sure.
You got to kind of look at your place. You kind of decide on where you want to plant first of all, and where you're going to be planting out, whether you've got a good sun area or if it's very shady. We call a high sun area anything that has sun from noon till the evening time.
All right.
Would be a high sun area. Things that have just sun in the morning would be in a low shade area, or there's some areas that just doesn't get much sun at all, period. Yeah. So it's very, very critical to know where you're planting that plant as to whether it's going to be successful or not.
All right. So we want to take is this something I might want to get a pen and paper out and maybe draw me a little map of what's going on? So,
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a great way to do it. The other thing, too, that this article points out, and it really, if you stop and think, it makes a lot of sense, is keep a journal. What you plant from one year to the next, because a lot of times you're planting annuals, that will give, number one, an idea if you come to us and say, well, I had impatiens over here last year. We'll ask you, well, did they do good there or not so good, and everything. And you kind of know then what plants will do well in that area if you keep a journal going on.
All right. What about things like, I know my front yard, we don't use it very much. Now our backyard, that's where we have all the barbecues and the dogs run and that all, it's kind of the activity area in the backyard. With the front yard, more of a decorative type thing. Does that really matter?
Yeah. Well, they're again, like we talked earlier, first impressions are really great. And that's kind of what most people will do. They'll have most of their show and everything on the front of the house for a good first impression for people coming in. Okay. Then on the back side, that's where you'll go ahead and you'll plant things that you can enjoy. And everything. Maybe some of the more, the back area, you'd want more things that do a lot of flowering. And the times of flowering is going to be very critical sometimes on what you plant there.
All right.
But that's an area that you'll be able to sit down and get your own enjoyment out of.
Yeah. So the things I really like, I can put in the back, and the things that maybe I just want for show, I can put those out front.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Unless you want to sit out in your car out in front of your house and enjoy what you've planted.
All right. Well, we could do that too. So, but this is really a time for us, as we said, journal. Draw a map, and then that's when we sit down and we start to design what we're really looking for.
What were you looking at? Kind of get the boundaries of what your property, how your property lays, then draw your house in the middle of wherever it's at and your driveway, and then you start looking at areas that would be enhanced maybe by a nice curved flower bed around, and then especially back in the back around where you do your barbecuing and everything like that. A lot of times you can plant just for privacy. You know, you can plant things in there that'll kind of grows up and gives you a little bit of privacy back there. Things that maybe you live close to a busy street or something.
Or a railroad track.
Yeah, or a railroad track, right? And you can plant things there. Of course, railroad track's kind of hard to, but you can plant things that'll kind of give you a little bit of sound cushion too.
Oh, okay.
And everything. So there's a lot of different reasons to really sit down and do some thinking about your planning of where you're going to plant things and everything, and of course for your enjoyment, because that's the number one thing.
Are there some basic principles that I need to use when I'm looking at a design for this?
There really is, this has a list of about there's probably about 10 or so of them.
Which, by the way, if you're listening, you can actually jump online and follow along with us right now if you want to do that.
Absolutely, yeah. So they can go to HeidrichsTrueValue.com. And they're going to look for Plan Your Landscape, or you can put in the search box, Plan Landscape.
All right, and then you're going to pull us up and be able to follow these basic design principles we're going to be talking about.
Right, yeah. Well, one of the things they talk about is unity, or in other words, trying to carry a theme all the way through in your design. And you may have two designs, or two themes, one for your backyard, one for your front yard, and everything. And so just to carry it right on through. Then a balance is a natural, they call it a natural equilibrium of visual interest to your design. So in other words, you kind of keep things going. I've been told now, I don't know if there's symmetrical and asymmetrical designs. Symmetrical would be boom, 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 everything in a perfect unity and everything like that.
That's for the OCD people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly right on there. And the asymmetrical is kind of the one where I think prescribes to the theory that you always have odd numbers of things. Okay. So in other words, you don't plant 2, you plant 3. You don't plant 3 or 4, you plant 5. And so that kind of gives you some asymmetrical design to your layout and everything. Then proportions, that's really critical. That's what you'll find, and it's more so with shrubs and trees and stuff like that, is know what the height, how big that plant's going to get, especially if you're looking at something that's a perennial or something that is, going to come back year after year after year, your shrubs, your trees, that type of stuff. Make sure that you don't take and plant a big oak tree right in the middle of your patio, that's going to dwarf the whole area. Right. So proportions are very important to look at. Then you can transition. If you do have a couple themes going on, then you want to transition from one to the next, and everything. So that's important. Or down the side of the house. Another one they call is rhythm, which refers to a feeling of motion that is created by directing a viewer's attention across a design. So maybe having points of interest, boom, 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 across to kind of keep that eye following all the way down the design.
Makes sense, yeah.
On that, and repetition, repeating certain particular plants, especially maybe your plants that you're really are kind of the central focus of your display and everything, having multiple settings of those on that. But the most important thing, I think, is simplicity.
Amen. I would agree with that.
On that. So you definitely don't want to plant stuff more than what you're going to be able to take care of.
Right.
If you plan an elaborate landscape and everything, and you don't have any time to go out and water it in July and August.
It's going to look horrible.
Yeah, it's going to look bad, bad, bad. So make sure that if you're one of those people that you're not going to have time, you're not going to have time, there is plants that will thrive under lower water conditions. You don't have to water them as often. A lot of your succulents and stuff like that will work well there. Portulacta, rose moss is some great things that don't require a lot of watering. As a matter of fact, if you water them too much, you might do damage to them and everything. So that's the other thing that you need to consider in your plan. Of course, color schemes and stuff like that. You might not want to plant purples with pinks.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have some help with that one. So.
Right, and that's what we're there for at the store. And I've got a couple ladies. My sister's one of them. And then Callie, they'll both work real well with you on knowing the plants, where to plant them, and what kind of requirements they need.
All right. So we've got color. Also, I see here line, form, texture, and scale.
Yeah,
Those are some
So,
things.
texture's kind of a cool thing because there's a lot of different plants with a lot of different textures. You got variegated leaves, you've got solid colored leaves. Those also can figure into not just for your color, and also gives a texture to your display.
Okay.
On there, so those are areas there that are great. And again, it talks about scale, which again is the size of the plant. Really important. You can sure see that happen a lot. People
Absolutely.
plant things too close together too, because they're little when they plant them. Say, I don't like the way that looks. It needs to have more in there. Don't forget that the idea is
couple
for
years
it to
down
grow.
the road, yeah.
On that, and it's going to be too big. You're going to have them planted too close together, and it won't look very good.
All right, you look like a hedgerow sitting right down through there.
Exactly.
So, all right, so we get all those things together. We take all that into consideration. This is where I like to make a plan. I like to stick with the plan, and this is where we kind of put that plan together when we start sketching out the design.
Yeah, start drawing it out. Draw out that perimeter. Draw out the house and everything. And that, this is where we put it all down on paper. And then while we're putting everything down on paper, maybe get you a notebook or something like that you can say, okay, 2016. Once you've got everything drawn out, you'll identify maybe your different areas that you're going to do most of your planning at. Okay, and you say backyard by the pool, or backyard to the on the north side of the deck, or something like that. And then you can put right in there the plants that you planted on that, and then come back in the fall, and you've got all these plants listed. You say, yeah, did good. Didn't thrive in that area, or whatever, or just not what I liked. And make your little notations on that. And gosh, it makes it. You get a couple years down the road, and you can almost take your list right into to bring it into the store and say, okay, I need this, 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 and this. And plan it. So organization is great.
All right. When I put that design together, I put that sketch together, what are some things I should probably consider when I am drawing this out?
Well, one thing that I think you need to consider, first of all, is definitely, like if you got sidewalks and stuff like that, you need to know, like say for instance, a sidewalk running in front of your house or up to your house. What is that distance? How big of an area you got?
Okay.
The areas that you're going to plant and make displays in, you really need to know the dimensions of those areas. That way then you can take a look at a lot of our tags on our plants out there will tell you how tall they'll grow. They also tell you how wide they grow on that, or the spacing that they should be planted at. So in other words, so you're not overlapping, we're not running into that problem. And once they get big, they just cover each other up.
Okay.
And they don't grow very well then neither, because you got one side that's not getting any sun to it, because it's so those kind of areas, dimensions and sizes are super important when you're planting all of this stuff.
Okay, so we'll remember that when we're doing that. One thing, we plant things along the like the property line,
Yes.
and it joins with other people. One thing to remember is if you're going to be planting trees, eventually that tree's going to grow. There are going to be branches that are hanging out not only over your property but also over your neighbor's property. Guess what? You're responsible for those limbs that are hanging over the neighbor's property.
Exactly right. And if they've got a fence up and everything like that, and you've got limbs falling down in it, it makes it pretty tough to clean them up, and keep them clean, even if you've got good intentions.
Yeah, that is, and we all do when we start out with these types of things.
Yeah, right. So it might be a good idea to maybe plant it a little farther away from the boundary line.
That's exactly right. So, okay, we got our design all laid out. Now, tell me, we need to lay out our lighting and our hardscaping. Now, hardscaping is a term that I have never really been familiar with. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, hardscaping is primarily whether a lot of times it talks about rocks. You can put rocks. You can put big rocks as far as focal points. A lot of people have that. A lot of people have the rocks that have their name on them. And everything like that.
Okay, so that would be considered the hardscape.
Yeah, that would be considered a hardscape. Also, the mulching around, because a lot of times you're going to cut a big, nice, big flower garden out of the yard on that, and we've got some tools that makes that pretty easy. If you're not doing too big of an area, we have it's a kick thing. You kick it with your foot, but it goes under and it takes off the top layer of grass, the turf and everything. So now you've got all that out of there, and you can make a nice flower bed built into that area.
Okay.
We also have some tools in the rental department that are what they call a landscaping edger. And this thing you can make kidney shape. You can, it's really cool. You can make curves. You can, do all kinds of stuff. Lay you a string out there and make your design. You can bring this right along the side, and it'll edge out that flower bed that you're going to make. And then it cuts a nice straight wall down the one side so that you can take and put your landscape edging and stuff like that in, and then bring your soil back against it. So we've got a lot of tools in the rental department. It makes this job a lot easier.
Okay. All right. So there you go. If you maybe you've got your everything all laid out and you're wanting the certain plants, but you're thinking, you know what, I don't have the right tools to make this look good. Don't worry about it. You can get it at the Just Gas Rental Center right next door to Hydrix True Value. And guess what? You can get those today.
Yes,
even,
absolutely.
while the garden party is going on. So
we'll be renting them there, or if you want to get a tiller or whatever, we'll have all that for you too.
Yeah. This is this afternoon, today or this morning and this afternoon, kind of the official kickoff of springtime when we have the opportunity to get out and get those plants and everything that you have.
Absolutely, and that's and hopefully we'll be blessed. Hopefully we're blessed with good weather for it and everything like that.
All right, so now we have laid out our design. We have taken a look at what should grow where. We've laid out our lighting, our hardscaping, all those things. Now we are ready to get those plants that we were talking about.
Right, and that's when you want to bring in. Okay, I'm looking for plants for a shady area. Okay, and you can wander through our garden department out there and read tags that tells you which ones will work. A lot of times we'll have a lot of the shady plants grouped together,
right?
Because number one, they can't be out in the hot sun neither on our display.
Sure.
So we'll have them more up against the building or in the greenhouse where we can kind of control the amount of sunshine that hits them. So that will be one kind of cue for you. If you're looking for something that does well in the shade, you might want to look up closer to the front of the store and that type of stuff. Most of that stuff will be there. We've got one area that has all the perennials are all put together. Because normally, as a rule, you've got some perennials that'll work in shade, but most perennials really like a lot of sunshine and everything. And so we've got those all set up in one area.
All right. So if you come in and say, hey, I've got a shady area in the back that I want something in, and I'm thinking I might want something this color or maybe something that's going to do this, and I know darn good and well if I say that to anybody on your staff at Hydrix, they're going to walk me right out to something that's going to work.
Most of us will be able to. Most of us will be able to.
And if you can't, you're going to point me to the person that can.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. That's what we'll be more than happy to do on that. A lot of times, us guys, we don't have too much confidence in our ability.
Yeah, that's when it comes
we're
to this,
sometimes better than what we should have more confidence maybe, but a lot of times we don't have as much confidence.
When we take a look at these plants, do I need to be doing any type of soil testing or anything like that?
It's always a good idea, especially if you've got a problem area that every year you have problems with it and everything. If you take a soil sample, we've got kits that'll test it. You can test it yourself. I think they still offer that as an option at the county extension agency that you can take in a soil sample and they'll kind of give you an idea. And what you're looking for is the alkalinity of the soil or how alkaline it is.
Okay.
Some plants really, really like a very acidy soil.
Right. A lot of acid, yeah.
One thing that comes to mind right off the top of my head is tomatoes. Tomatoes really like a lot of acid and everything. Evergreens, too, are something that like a lot of acid and everything. But then there's some plants, as a rule, most plants, if you can get it to a neutral setting, in other words, not too acidy and not too sweet, and kind of hit that middle spot, most plants respond best there.
All right.
On that.
All right. When we talk about digging and doing some things like that, should I make that one call to make sure that I'm not going to be cutting anything before I start edging things out?
Especially if you're building a new garden or planting a new area there, definitely. Because, especially, and the other thing too is if you've got, you need to know where the heck, if you've got
laterals or sewer
underground
lines.
sprinkling and
Yeah.
stuff like that too. You got to know where that's at. Of course, I don't think one call can do you much good there, but so you need to kind of have.
Know where
That's
that's
another
at,
thing
so,
you
yeah.
map into your landscape design
Okay.
is kind of maybe okay. I've got these runners that are 3 foot apart or
Mm-hmm.
4 foot apart. Then you kind of know where they're at, and everything.
Or then your landscaping gets really expensive.
Yes,
Really,
yeah.
really
When you
quick,
start doing
so-
all that, it does
Yeah.
get very expensive, but it does look beautiful.
That's true. So we can use flowering plants, trees, tomatoes, things like that. If we want to put those out front, we can do that as well.
Because you need to
So-
put that same thought process a lot of times into your garden.
Mm-hmm.
On that, because if you've got something that needs a lot of high sun and everything like that, you want to plant it on the southern side of the garden, on the south side of the garden. And say you can use if you got something that doesn't do well with a lot of high sun and everything like that, maybe you plant that next to the corn. That
All right.
should be good and tall.
All right,
That'll
give you a
kind
little
of
shade.
provide some shade
Sure.
for it.
All right. So we know today you're going to have flowering plants and regular
Perennials,
plants.
so and perennials are plants that come up every year,
Mm-hmm.
so they save you a little bit of money. You don't have to replant them. Generally, as a rule, since they do come up every year, a lot of times they have a little bit shorter flowering season than what an annual does, and a lot of times too, they're not quite as showy. That's the
Right.
beautiful thing about an annual. Since, man, you only live once, and you only got a short time, they really, really pop the color real well.
All right.
A
So
lot of
that'd
time.
be your choice. How about trees? You going to have any trees?
I
out
do
there?
not have
All
any
right.
trees and shrubbery. We tried that one year, and we just a couple years in a row, and it just didn't seem to do what we needed to do on that.
Trees are one of those things where, I mean, if you're going to plant a tree, you're putting a lot of thought into where that tree is going to go.
Really,
it's going to
you
be
need
there for a while.
It
so.
sure will. It sure
All
will.
right.
And that's the other thing that people. It's another reason for planning your landscape and doing a good job of laying it out. Because man, it adds a tremendous amount of value to your home.
Oh boy,
Larry.
does it? Yeah.
I mean, because gosh, if you're looking at a place that's got a real nice laid out lawn, it's got nice old trees that provide a lot of shade, and you go take a look at a new house that doesn't have any landscaping done to it at all. That a lot of times you can make a good run for your money with those houses just with your landscaping.
Yeah. It's a great way to show off your personality to the people that drive by the front of your house just with those.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I'm going to put red and yellow for the Chiefs on one side, red and white on the other for the Tigers.
And then you got to get a little bit of blue in there.
Yeah, we got to throw a little bit of blue in there. I was thinking some gray, but I don't for the hounds.
for
But
the
I don't know
hounds,
how
too.
that's going to
Yeah,
work.
burgundy
So
and hounds
we're going to
and-
make that. We're going to make that all work somehow.
Hey, get the gray maybe with the hardscape.
All right.
With the
that's
rock.
true. That's true.
You
We
know?
can do that with the rock, and then
Yeah.
we will have everybody represented in the front yard when people drive by. This is going to be a great summer to do all this work, a great spring to get out and make all this happen. And today can be the very first day of making your house from the outside look absolutely beautiful with some simple, and we want to put the emphasis on that, a simple way to landscape around your home.
Right, and do it yourself, save some money,
Yeah.
and everything is a great way to do it. But do remember, start your plant journal.
Yeah.
So you know what did good, you know what doesn't do good, and you don't make that mistake again the second time.
Absolutely. All right. And we're going to be at the garden party. Boy, just a few minutes from right now, we're going to start broadcasting there. We'll be there till 11 o'clock this morning, but the deals are going to be going on all day. But you want to get there early to get the best selection of all these plants.
Right, yeah, because it does they go quick.
Yeah.
on
Especially if the girls let their animals loose over there.
Yeah.
They may. We need to make sure
that's
that doesn't
true. Yeah.
happen.
So far, that hasn't happened yet. I don't know how well what that camel likes to eat out there.
Yeah, that's true. We know it doesn't have to drink very often, but what it eats, we don't know. So,
Right, yeah.
All right, the garden party going on today. We would love to have you come out, talk to Denny, talk to any of the professionals at Hydrix True Value. Show them a schematic of what you got of the design of what you want in your yard, and they'll be more than happy to point you in the direction of what you need to make it look the way you want it to look. They can offer you the tools through the Just Gas Rental Center that you can use to make it look like a professional did it. And the great thing is, do less work to make it look even better. So
Yes,
that's
yeah.
the thing, using the right tool for the job.
Absolutely.
All right. Open until
We're open until
6
6 o'clock today,
Yep.
and we'll be open again tomorrow, 1 to 5.
All right, but if you come in tomorrow, you're going to miss the hot dogs and the
Yeah,
Cokes
you won't
and
have the hot
animals
dogs, you won't
and all
have
those
the
things.
animals
So,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Bring your own.
Yeah,
That's what you'll have to
bring
do
your own
tomorrow.
animals. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Hey,
but
Denny,
make sure you bring a stake to stake them out with.
that's true. Denny, thanks so much for being here this morning. Can't wait to get out there in just a few minutes.
Yeah, and people don't forget, you can find this.
That's true.
These directions and everything right on our website at hydrictruevalue.com.
All right, remember, no S.
Yeah, no S, hydrictruevalue.com, and go to the project tab and type in Plan Landscape.
That's
and
the way to do it.
Come right up.
All right, Denny, thanks for being here this morning.
Okay, we'll see you, Larry.
Denny Heydrich, our guest this morning on the best little home improvement show in the 4 states.
Hydrix